Hello, Veteran Spouse Network. I'm Hannah O'Brien, the program manager for the Veteran Spouse Network. And as many of you may already know, April is the month of the military child. And as the VSN, we're celebrating Purple Update today, April 20th, to show our support for the strength and sacrifices of our military youth. And I'm very excited to be here today with one of our amazing student interns, Alexa Harrison, who, in addition to being a student here at UT, is herself the child of an active duty service member. Alexa has graciously offered to come on with me today and share some of her story and her experiences as a military child. Alexa, we're so grateful for you being here today. Would you like to go ahead and just kind of tell us a bit about yourself before we get into some of these questions?
Yes, thank you so much for the warm welcome. Hello, everybody. My name is Alexa Harrison. I'm currently a student at the University of Texas at Austin. I'm a psychology major, and I'm also a military child. My dad is an active duty veteran in the U.S. Army, and he's currently deployed at Fort Sill.
Awesome. And so just for me and everybody else, where is Fort Sill?
Fort Sill is in Oklahoma,
okay,
right above
cool.
us. Yeah, not too far.
So is the rest of your family there too?
Not currently. My mother and my brother and all my siblings are actually in Virginia currently, Richmond, Virginia.
So your dad's still active duty. When did he enter in terms of like what age were you, or was it before you were born?
He actually did enter before I was born.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about what your, maybe even like just the logistical experience of your dad's career, and like, where did you guys move? How often? What has that experience been like?
So that's of course a military child's favorite question. Where are you from? Where did you guys come from? Where did you move from? So in my lifetime, I've had about 8 moves due to the military. Started in Hawaii, ended in Texas was my final move with my family. And that's where I decided where I wanted to go to school.
Awesome. Well, we're lucky to have you for sure. So I guess on that note, like you said, that's a very common experience of military families. And obviously as a child does have an impact on you, having to move, kind of recreate those supports and those systems. So kind of what has that highly mobile lifestyle childhood been for you? And what are some of the challenges you experienced as a result?
I would say just the main one, starting over is always a challenge. Moving to a new place that you've never been to before. You kind of don't really know what to expect. I would say that keeping really a positive mindset has kind of helped me overcome a lot of the worst moves. Those are mostly the challenges that I think of, kind of relationships, family relationships, friendly friendships. They kind of deteriorate over distance sometimes if you're not great at maintaining them. So I would say those are mainly the challenges that I faced.
So also, of course, I'm sure there are a lot of strengths of being or positives, things that come from whether it's that moving and that lifestyle, or just kind of the values and culture of the military that must be embedded in your family. So what do you see as some of the strengths that come from growing up in a military family?
Um, I would say really like, especially growing up, kind of from childhood, children are kind of like that sponge to a lot of new experiences and perspectives. I definitely appreciate that I was able to kind of adapt to different environments, and it made me a lot more open as a person, I would say, to that there's different perspectives.
Absolutely. So yeah, you're talking about that adaptability. And so a lot of what we hear, children, period, but definitely children growing up in this lifestyle, there's kind of that strength and that resilience that they get from being a part of these families. So what do you feel in your experience has really encouraged that resilience in you?
I would say really just watching my parents do it. I would say watching my dad just thrive in his career, despite a lot of the challenges that he faced. And then my mom on the same side of the coin, really her being successful in her career. She works currently in education at Richmond Public Schools. And just seeing her experience and skill coming from a lot of the military lifestyle, being able to go to different environments and still thrive and still do well, that's really inspired me a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's part of that moving, and at least from our perspective of the Veteran Spouse Network, right? That's what we hear so much about spouses and those changes and in employment and
Employment.
education, navigating that. So that's so awesome to see that, you have a great model of your mom just going with it and making it work and creating that great model for you guys.
Exactly.
So let's talk something fun. What share a story and experience, anything that you think has just been like a great experience that you've had related to, growing up in a military family.
I would say just being unique. That's awesome. Like I would say kind of the attention of being the new kid in school and kind of being able to provide like, hey, I'm not from here, This is how it works over here. Can you tell me about how it works down here? Like I would say that really opened up myself to a lot more friendships and being really involved with others and kind of it made me want to go out more and want to understand people and really be a part of a community.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and I think it's awesome to see when kids can make the best of those situations, because that's hard. I know my husband didn't grow up as a military child, but his family was in the oil mining, so he went to like 27 schools or something, and that guy can have a conversation with anyone, right? So like
That's
there
it.
are these awesome skill sets that can come from that, constant movement and just having to put yourself out there, right?
Exactly.
So then, of course, you're kind of in your own transition of, out of the house, up in college life, kind of moving from the child to the young adult. So, what has that experience been for you? And kind of what, if you have advice to give for those who are kind of on the other side, getting ready to kind of move from the nest into adulthood, what would advice do you have about making that transition and whether it's related to being a military child or not?
I would say just doing your research, doing it early, starting out whenever you're kind of curious about your next steps, whether it's college, whether it's another route. I would say doing your research of where your experience kind of fits into what you're looking into. So I know specifically for psychology, I know what I wanted to do with it. It was just kind of what school is the next step. But I realized even through just being a military child, there's a lot of scholarship opportunities. You could qualify for in-state tuition in one state and not in another. So it's one of those things that it's worth researching and really worth um, just having a lookout on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, be prepared. And
Yes.
it's a big decision, whatever decision you're making, or, you know, going out on your own and trying to figure out what those next steps are. Specifically with college life, I know actually, one of the reasons you came to us is really wanting to kind of be able to help kids in that transitional college phase create that community within their fellow military kids. So what have been like any things that you've kind of seen specific to the college age population that maybe you had to navigate, um, that you have advice on, or even gaps that you see, that could kind of ease this experience for military kids transitioning to college?
Yeah, I would say just not shying away from your experience. I think when I initially got here, it was kind of like I didn't want to go into the whole background of, oh, I'm a military kid and I used to live here. And this is, I also used to live here. I think that where you're from kind of provides a lot of context to who you are as a person, but I wouldn't say it really defines you as a person. I would say that, hey, just be comfortable in saying, yeah, I'm a military kid. I've been to a couple different places. I don't know which one best defines me or which one best fits how my personality is, but I would say just be accepting your experience and really acknowledging that, hey, this created me as a person and I can do well with it.
Yeah, awesome. I know we didn't talk about this question, but that you're making me think too of just, I'm sure you get lots of questions, from fellow kids, whether it was when you were younger or now in college, um, when you share pieces of that experience. So what has that been like, just like trying to help or not people understand about what your unique experience has been as a military child when they don't have that experience themselves?
I would say really just speaking to like places are very unique. Everywhere is very different. The East Coast is going to be a little different than the Central. If there's people who are fortunate to, live around the world, and it's very different. You grow up in very different environments. You get an idea of how like just people operate in different places. Yeah, I would say that.
Yeah. And I'm sure actually that kind of lends itself well to college because people are, I mean, sometimes that's where they're from. They're going to college, but like that's kind of part of that college conversation anyway. Where are you from? Like, what's it like there? So I bet that's actually maybe more a natural conversation to have in a college environment.
Sure.
So kind of shifting gears, obviously we have a lot of parents on our page, and I know from our experience, you know, serving them, a lot of parents like have those concerns about how this experience is affecting their child, how they can help their child navigate this. So what, if any, advice would you have for military parents from your perspective and your experience as a military child?
Yeah, I would really just start with just acknowledging that experience, kind of acknowledging the challenge that they're facing. Every new place is a new challenge. Every new environment is going to be different. So kind of acknowledging that, hey, I know you didn't choose this life, but the way that we're raising you, I want to say that you're built for this. Just really framing it as more of a positive experience and saying that, hey, you're more unique than others, like you're adaptable to different environments. I would say just really uplifting them in this
Yeah.
environment.
Like finding those strengths and empowering them to see those strengths is huge because there are so many. I think we can get really hung up on the negatives of this experience, but there are so many amazing experiences and strengths that come from being parts of military families. So that's great
Exactly.
advice to help them see those strengths that they're developing. And so then what about resources and supports for kids? Because I know part of the reason we came to exist, both the Veteran Spouse Network and our larger Institute for Military and Veteran Family Wellness, was because we were personally seeing a lack of supports designed for the family. And I know that's the children are part of that. So what, if any, supports have you either tapped into personally yourself or heard of from fellow military kids that have been really helpful?
Oh, yeah. I would say definitely just your veteran service office on campus. They're usually able to provide a lot of context to what you're eligible for and what you're not. I would say at my last university, I was eligible for the Yellow Ribbon program. Essentially, I was using GI Bill benefits transferred by my veteran, and it qualified me for in state tuition. So there are a lot of resources out there that you really just have to, again, research for, but they're also available to you.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, that's half the battle, like you were saying, is doing the research, prepping, figuring out, you know, what you need, what you want, and then what's available to you. And that can be hard,
Exactly.
especially if you're a kid. So it's another good tip for parents is, figure out what's out there and what you can, offer your children as well. Um, but on that note, what do you see that's missing in the landscape of services or supports for military kids, or where could you see more support for this population?
I would say once again, just community. It's hard to be a part of this population, and I think that even active duty or veteran families were still impacted by the military. So I think being able to find others who can relate to your experience really makes a big difference in the end for how you view the experience.
Yeah, creating those supportive communities. That's what we're all about. And for those of you who don't know, that's one of the reasons Alexa came to us, was to hopefully find those ways through our services to be able to help military kids find that community. And so that's something we're working on together, is to try and find the right way to do that. But Alexa, I thank you so much. Before we kind of close out, is there anything else you want to say about your experiences, resources, support, advice?
Hmm. My last final
Your
words.
final thoughts?
I would say just really, I'm just excited. Month of the Military Child is a good time to just reflect on your experience, reflect on what made me me, and really just appreciate how far I've come. So I would say that just appreciating how far you've come and the obstacles you've overcome.
Awesome. Well, we are so grateful that you offered to do this. I think it's great to hear directly from someone who has this experience. for our network, whether, they may have children who have gone or are going through this right now or don't. And it's a great insight into just kind of another piece of the military family and the unique experiences that come from that child perspective and the unique needs and challenges and strengths. So I really
Exactly.
appreciate you sharing and being open with us. And then also, coming to us to actually volunteer and try and make an impact here and at the University of Texas for others in your population who are navigating that adulthood. So for our network, I would say stay tuned. I think Alexa's working on some cool stuff, and we hope to be able to provide more supports and more resources for this group. As you guys know, always reach out to us if you know about things that exist to serve this population, or if you're seeing gaps and you're seeing needs in your own children's lives that maybe we could plug into and provide some support. So again, Alexa, thank you so much. Everybody, I mean, I know we kind of have our own shades of purple, but do what you can, today, whether it's wearing purple to show your support or, just hugging your kids tight, telling them how much they mean to you, showing them appreciation, anything you can do, we appreciate. Have a good one, everybody.